So with the Nintendo Switch 2 releasing in just a few days, Nintendo has been cleaning up a lot of their software for Nintendo Switch, preparing it for Nintendo Switch 2. We also got another trailer for one of the Nintendo Switch 2 Edition upgrade packs, and we have some updates on retailers having launched a stock for Nintendo Switch 2. So several new updates that I just kind of want to discuss and give my opinion on, but before we get started, I'd really appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. I will be unboxing a Nintendo Switch 2 and reviewing it when it releases, and you can even click that notification bell and turn on all post notifications so you can be notified when I post those videos. But anyway, let's get started. So the first topic of the day is that the Nintendo Switch Online app has made a transformation through an update to the Nintendo Switch app, and Nintendo has added a bit of functionality with this new update. And one of the biggest updates is that you can now share images to your smartphone through this app. Now, if you've ever had a PlayStation and you use the PlayStation app, you know that there is a way to transfer your images to your smartphone through their app, and it's a lot easier. But Nintendo has never had something like that. Now, Nintendo Switch has had a system for a while where you can connect your Switch as your phone's Wi-Fi network and transfer images that way, and then save them to your album, but it was never an easy system because you need your phone and your Switch. It's kind of inconvenient because you have to switch networks, but now Nintendo has a new system. Now, this new photo sharing system is exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2, so if you are not upgrading, you will not have this new feature, but it's going to basically allow you to send your photos to your Nintendo Switch app. As long as you're connected to the internet, it'll just send there, and then you can go to the app later on and save them to your phone's album. You don't have to have any wonky setup where you make your Switch to your phone's network. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a lot simpler now. The app also seems to have made improvements to the friends list, so you can now add friends through the app. I'm pretty sure that was something you couldn't do before, or at least very easily, but you can exchange your friend codes and type them into the app rather than using your system to add friends. And then finally, you'll notice when you boot up the app, the Zelda notes for the Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. It's right there on the home screen, but you can't actually go into it. It'll just tell you info about the DLC and how it's not released, but it is there. Overall, we don't have anything too crazy going on here. The image sharing is pretty nice. But one thing Nintendo could do with this app, and maybe they'll do it in the future, is similar to other console makers like Sony, they have the ability to purchase games through their PlayStation app, where you can basically buy the game and it'll start downloading on your system. But this app doesn't do that, and I think it's a missed opportunity because it could be a very convenient way to buy games and then just start downloading them onto your system. I know the Nintendo website does this, but why can't they put it in the Nintendo Switch app? Would be a cool feature if they added it. Now, while we're on the topic of Nintendo making software changes, they haven't just been working on their phone apps, they have also been improving the Nintendo Switch OS. And one thing Switch Online members might notice is that the Switch Online software has actually changed quite a bit. Now, in terms of what you can do in this software, not much is new here, but they have kind of made it more aesthetically pleasing. So the theme that you see in the software behind your user icon is actually dependent on your user icon and what you decide to make it. So it might be a white background, it might be kind of a picture background. It's basically dependent on your user icon, but I'm glad to see Nintendo is making changes and leaps towards having themes on their consoles. Now, hopefully they add them to the home menu at some point. But themes are not the only thing that have changed about this Switch Online software. The icons on the sidebar have also kind of changed. It all looks a bit fresher. I believe this is how it's going to look on Nintendo Switch 2. But one thing I noticed is that it's actually a little bit less laggy. I think one thing every Nintendo Switch owner just knows about the Switch and has accepted at this point is basically any software built into the OS that needs to access the internet is extremely laggy when you try to run it. The Switch Online software is no exception. It's always been a laggy, slow mess, and the loading times are just atrocious when you want to just scroll around there and the page isn't loading. The Switch eShop is also the other software that people have just had issues with ever since the Switch came into existence. It's always been kinda crazy to me that the Switch can run games so well even if it isn't the newest hardware, but when it tries to run still storefronts or still pages, it cannot load them. So I think Switch 2 is going to fix this because we're already seeing improvements with the Switch Online software. It's a little bit less laggy. It's not all gone, the lag is still there, but it's just a little bit less laggy. But Nintendo hasn't forgotten about their games because this week, we got an overview trailer for Super Mario Party Jamboree plus Jamboree TV Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. With that name, you'd think Nintendo is trying to win a world record for longest title. And this trailer showed off 2 new ways to play Mario Party mode. The first new rule set is Tag Team Rules. Tag Team Rules is pretty simple. Instead of playing by yourself, you're playing with a partner and you share stars and coins. And you can also share the victory or loss if you win or lose. And there's also a new item being added called Together Dice, where you can basically call your teammate to your location, you roll double dice, and then you move the total amount, and then items, stars, and space effects are doubled, meaning you can get 2 stars on that turn. So it's a really interesting mechanic, and it could really make gameplay spicy. Now, if you're like me and you thought Super Mario Party Jamboree was just a bit too slow moving, Nintendo is adding a new mode to the game called Frenzy Rules. And with this rule set, you only play 5 turns and the experience is far more streamlined. All players are going to start with 50 coins, a double dice item, and a star. I think I'll be using this mode a lot actually because sometimes I just want to play Mario Party, but I don't feel like spending 90 minutes on a 10-turn game. And Frenzy mode seems like a great way to play a quick game of Mario Party, but still get into the action right away because you have an item to start with, you have coins to start with so you can buy items, and everybody starts with stars, so if somebody passes a boo, they can still pay 50 coins to steal a star, and now that they have coins, they can pay for that, so a lot more interesting of a rule set. Now, besides the changes to party mode, there's not too much that we haven't already found out in this trailer, but I'll link it down below if you guys want to watch the whole thing. And for our last piece of discussion, several retailers will have Nintendo Switch 2 stock on launch day. On demand, you can just walk in and purchase it, but you are going to have to wait in a line for most of these, so let's go through where you can get a console if you want one. So first of all, GameStop will be starting their launch day event at 3 PM on June 4th, but not all GameStops are doing this, so you're going to want to call your local store, but most GameStops should be selling their stock at 3 PM for pickup at midnight Eastern Time. So if your GameStop is participating in this 3 PM local time launch event, then if you go to your store at midnight without a pre-order, you will not be able to get a console. Again, this will vary between GameStop to GameStop. Some may not be participating in the pre-launch event. Some may not even be doing a midnight release. So call your GameStop on June 2nd or June 3rd, maybe even June 4th, to ask them what they are doing for their launch event so you know how to get a console. Best Buy will also have Nintendo Switch 2 stock for purchase without a pre-order, and instead of going earlier in the day like GameStop is doing, you can go at midnight with everybody else who is picking up their pre-orders and buy a console then, but I would recommend calling my Best Buy if I were you to ask if they will have some extra Switch 2 stock, Likely they will because people do cancel pre-orders and they gotta sell that stock to somebody. Finally, Target will be doing an 8 a.m. on June 5th launch event for the Switch 2, and at all of these stores that I'm mentioning, you are going to want to camp out for a few hours if you want to raise your chances of getting a console. Now, for some people, they can just go to the store and get one. It really depends on how many gamers are in your area who are trying to buy a Switch 2. But back to the topic of purchasing launch day stock from Target on release day. Target will be doing wait outside the store, and then they will guide you to their electronics section where you could purchase the Switch 2 when the store opens. Now, the website also does say that they are doing giveaways, although we don't know what exactly they're doing, but they might have some prizes to give away to people who are buying the Switch 2. Now, Target seems like it's going to be the easiest place to buy a Switch 2, just because reports are showing that quite a bit of stock is going to be at these Targets when you camp out. Around 30 to 40 units on average. Some Targets may have more, some may have less. Overall, it seems like a lot of Switch 2s will be available at launch day, but if you want to get a Switch 2 at midnight, I'd recommend camping out at GameStop at 3 p.m. if your store is participating, or Best Buy at 12 a.m. Eastern Time if your store does have some additional stock. But if you don't care about a midnight release, Target might be a better option, just because they seem like they are going to have a lot of on-demand stock available on launch day. But overall, it seems like it's going to be pretty easy to get a Switch 2 on launch day if you don't have a pre-order, but since Switch 2 is still a high demand item, I mean it's a console, you are going to have to wait out for a few hours in most places, so just keep that in mind. But anyway guys, that's all I have to discuss for Nintendo Switch 2 today. Do you have any questions about how to get a Switch 2 on launch day? Let me know down in the comments and I'll try to answer all of those questions. I would also appreciate if you would like this video and subscribe to the channel. I will be unboxing and reviewing a Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes out, so you're not going to want to miss that. But anyway guys, thanks for watching and have a great day.